Hi Simima,
Hey, Hora.
welcome. Hi everyone, welcome to the episode 19 of Philosophers in the Therapy Room. Sorry for delaying hosting this
A lot has
episode.
happened.
Yeah, it was a chaotic 2 weeks, and actually
For
we
both of
managed for
us.
both of us. It was really chaotic, but at least we come back.
Yes.
We didn't forget
Yeah.
our commitment. So Samima, this I guess we have discussed about these episodes, or actually we gave the promise to the audience talking about motherhood in an earlier episodes, but somehow we
Kept
yeah, we
postponing.
kept postponing.
Yeah.
But I guess we decided for this episode to really
Yeah,
talk
it's
and
time.
focus, on um, the experience of motherhood from a phenomenological perspective.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think, the most important notion that is the really the guiding principles of our practice in therapy room is the phenomenology and existential philosophy that we have, and that really changes the mapping of the process of therapy and how we relate to the experience of the client and how we understand client's experience, and we try to thematize and analyze the experience, make it relatable to the client themselves. So even an experience such as motherhood, it's a mundane experience. We have it all, mostly, and we taken for granted the whole idea of what does it mean to be a mother, and
Or have a mother.
or have a mother, to be a mother, to become a mother, but at the same time to become a parent. We take it really for granted.
Yeah.
We've taken it as for granted, and that's we assume that we know what is it.
Exactly.
And then the problems in caring, in parenting, in relating to our parents, parents relating to their children, all become the symptoms of this taken for grantedness of the experience. We assume that we know what is it.
Exactly.
And I guess we are trying to unpack this experience in these episodes so we can somehow introduce and navigate a new way of relating to that experience, so that symptoms heal themselves and resolve in themselves by this new relationship. So we are not healing those symptoms.
No.
We are actually navigating a new pathway toward the understanding of the experience, so the symptoms can be healed themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this topic is so fundamental and foundational in terms of therapy because, as we also discussed last week, when we are working with a client, half of the time we trace a lot of their trauma, problems, challenges to their childhood. And in that way, we actually kind of create an ethical relationship with the parents, particularly the mother, but sometimes even the father, and quite often the father, who are not in the room with us. And it is something where we try to track, where these issues the client is facing now in terms of managing their current relationship are kind of going back to their family of origin, in particular their parents, their mother and the father. And it is, there's a lot of work that is being done in terms of what's a healthy parenthood, how it should be done. A lot of the behavioral approaches that we were talking about, like triple P, we are both trained in various of triple P modalities and how to deliver it to parents and managing the behavior of our child. And there's a lot of that going on. Circle of Security is another one which is based on attachment style. And it does focus a lot on how to provide that secure base to a child in an interesting way. So, what I feel is missing here is that the parent in this entire picture is the giver. And, the two things as a therapist that we need to keep in mind. Sometimes we are treating the parent themselves and their challenges. So it's a different thing to make them understand what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a father, to come to terms with this new reality, whether it's the first child, second child, whatever it is. Every time it's a new reality for you. So that's a separate thing, dealing with a parent who is going through something. What we more often deal with is a person who is dealing with their parental wounds, the wounds that their parents gave them. And that's where we think that it is a kind of a picture where parent is just seen as a giver and not in terms of a relationship that you had with your parent and the outer environment. And that kind of presents a very, very skewed, very distorted picture that does not let us understand what it means to be a parent, what it means to take care of a child, and what kind of challenges the parents actually experience and how they make sense of it. And I know that that does not take away the wounds that someone grew up with, but as we have discussed, that therapy is all about accepting the perspectives, getting those perspectives and changing your worldview. And if we are looking at the parent merely as a giver, the worldview doesn't become mature enough.
Doesn't make you subject enough to.
Exactly. You're still a child.
Exactly.
You still remain a child. You don't relate to parent as the adult. And that's what we want to talk about here, is understanding the parent-child relationship, what it means, not as a parent as the giver and child as the recipient, but rather as a mutual relationship in a field of other relationships with objects and events and people and things happening in the world.
In a complex network of this relationship.
So just getting a little bit of an understanding of this complexity of relationship and just shedding some light on that, and maybe twisting it a little bit more by reflecting on the experience of immigrant parenthood. That's something that we experienced, and some of our audience can actually relate to it. But it doesn't mean that this one is more difficult or more easier, but rather just showing how challenging it becomes when the world you grew up in is radically different from the world your child is growing up in, and you have no way to actually anchor yourself in this complex, weird world. So that just adds to the complexity.
So I guess in whatever you have discussed by now, we are trying to see the parenthood and especially motherhood, because we talked about attachment and parental wounds, and especially mother wound. We're trying to set a new agenda in terms of how to relate and how to understand the experience of motherhood, not as a first person experience, not as a
what
mother.
It means to
We
be
are
a
not
mother,
going exactly. We are not going.
We might touch upon that a little bit.
So, but this is not the job of the therapist in the therapy room. Actually, I guess we are trying to create new relationship with the concept of parenthood and the experience of parenthood from the client, and we try to make them understand that whatever happened to you, and especially in attachment analysis, it happened in a relational field that your parent and especially your mother created for you. So rather than a mother creating that and become the point of reflection in attachment analysis, we are trying to introduce a new point of focus, which is the relational field. The relationship, that the in-between of two people, the intersubjective field that mother created for the child, and actually it's a co-constitution and a child created for the mother. So it's a double-sided, it's a reciprocal co-constitutional relational field. So it's a very, very important to notice that the point of focus is that relational field, not the mother per se. So in this case, as you were mentioning, we are trying to create mother, or actually give agency back to the mother as a person rather than a service provider.
Exactly.
A carer, a mother, is not a service provider per se. It's a person who decided to play a new role and create an additional relational field in her network of relationship, which we call, in a behavioral science, cognitive science, and social science, parenthood.
Exactly, but it's a relationship.
But it's a relationship.
Exactly.
The nature of that is a relationship that is created by a person.
Exactly.
So again, mother becomes a person with all the baggages a person have and bring to a relationship.
And I want to throw something radical and maybe a little bit controversial here too, that I believe there's no normal parenthood. Like the whole idea, I think that's sometimes a problem of therapy, that we feel that there is this ideal, good, normal parenthood, and my parents deviated from it a lot or a little, and somehow there are some parents who could possibly have a normal parenthood. This is my absolute belief, that you would always grow up with some kind of mental health issues.
Yes.
Because relationships are not easy.
No.
And we don't live in an ideal world.
And actually, they're unique. So there is no normal. I mean, you cannot describe any normality. It's not a normative.
So the problem is quite often because we borrow the model of mental health from physical health. There's this ideal, perfect, healthy body that does not exist either.
Exactly.
But that's how
science works. Exactly.
This is the ideal body, and how far you are from that one. We want you to get to that one. And somehow we feel like that there's a normal way of growing up. There's a normal, healthy environment of childhood. And then we are trying to copy that normal as far as we can in our unique ways. I feel that, there's never going to be any normality in relationship ever. Some are more, and because I'm saying it messed up because that's how we understand it. But I believe that when we have discussed it to a great extent, at the core of human existence is this anxiety that lies within the very existence.
It's a grounding.
So you can never get rid of that feeling of unease, that feeling of absurdity. That's part of your existence. Now, your relationships shape them in different ways, and you would feel them in different ways. And sometimes, of course, if you had very bad experiences, that can be really, really, really messed up. So I'm not disregarding that part, someone going through emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse as a child, and that actually making their relationship with the world really problematic. Do understand that. However, there is no way in which you can be raised where you have no issues at all. So that's something that I believe, we want to put on the table to begin with. So what we want to do here is identify how that relationship shaped you. Who that person was that actually raised you, and who you were. Because relationship is a two-way thing. Even as a baby, even like we have carried children in our womb, and you have carried twice. You might remember two pregnancies very differently. I had just one, but it was a relationship even before my boy came into the world. So it's a two-way thing. It's not always conscious. The baby doesn't know what they are doing, but the mother is responding to it. And so we need to look at that relationship and understand everything in the context of relationship.
I guess the most important factor here is, since we don't, as philosophers, we don't describe any normal, when we talk about personhood, we don't introduce any normality. The normality goes to the experience rather than the person.
Exactly.
It's a perception, if it's your experiential field, and it's the quality of the experience which is normal or hypernormal. In phenomenology we have this concept of hypernormality. So it's a disruption of the normal. So I was receiving the world. Imagine that I was it was a time that I could read without glasses very easily, and after some time, this normal way of perceiving and seeing the words become disrupted, and I needed something else as an additive to help me to get back to that normal. So the moment that I put on the glasses, a hyper normal created for me, because my normal was disrupted without me knowing, because it was during the period of time. So I think it's all about how you relate to that experience as normal or hyper normal or abnormal.
I mean, what you were saying earlier just reminded me, I was talking to a friend after a long time today this morning, and they had some issues with their eyesight, like severe cataract, and then they had operation. And so they were saying to me that I am still struggling and blah blah blah. I was referring to a couple of things about my father-in-law when he had cataract. He would feel that the table is here, he would put something and it would drop. And she says that after the operation, this is happening to me now, because her sense of the distance is distorted. And so what is supposed to be normal is not working for her. She's not able to adjust to this normal, because her during cataract normal has totally shifted. Everything was blurry, but her reference point was shifted, and now she says that I feel that something is nearer but it's farther, or something is farther and I feel it's nearer, because and she's not yet able to adjust to what is supposed to be normal. So there is no normal, it's your normal, what you feel comfortable with.
It's a normal relationship, you know. It's a relationship that we built, and it's really interesting, because normal means optimal. In phenomenology, normal means optimal. What we call normal,
that's a good one.
What it called optimal. So there was a time that any relationship that we call it now normal, and maybe in your childhood was normal, and now you call it abnormal, we need to realize that that thing was our optimal way of relating to the world. So I guess that is exactly the case when we're talking about defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are the optimal way of dealing with the event, dealing with the relationship.
The best I can do in this situation.
The best I can do in that situation. I was listening to a podcast, and the lady, the presenter, the guest, was talking about a creative way of that defense mechanisms as the creative way of dealing with the experience. It is creative. It is creative way of dealing with the experience, and I put phenomenologically here. It's an optimal way of me dealing with whatever is given to me in that experience. So, you know, I guess the moment that you realize that, okay, I don't need to analyze myself against a standard measurement. I don't need to realize myself and measure myself, evaluate myself against a proper way of dealing with my child as a parent. But the moment that I realize that, there is no standard given or standardized way of dealing with my childhood traumas and wounds, I would realize that, okay, it's all me how to relate with it. I neither call it normal or abnormal. I try to connect with it in a way that works for my today. What is the best and optimal way of me dealing with the relationship that I had with my parents when I was a child, or even now? So everything becomes very logical in that sense,
and very personal,
very personal. Totally, you become the only person can analyze a relational field. There is no one else other than you to realize how you want to navigate that relationship, how you want to analyze that relationship, what is the optimal way of relating to that relationship.
So I think we can come back to the idea of motherhood, and I will begin with my favorite philosopher, Beauvoir, of course. I mean, I have worked in my thesis on Beauvoir's work, and motherhood was quite a key idea here. What I would like to begin with is something that is very central to all existentialist philosophy is the idea of freedom. And she argues that in its core, motherhood is freedom, choosing another freedom to come into this world.
Yeah.
Basically, what you're trying to do is you are a free person. And of course, we talk about a lot of issues, women being forced to become mothers and all of that. Let's keep all of that aside. But when you are normally becoming a mother, you choose to become a mother and bring another human being in this world, but it's important to remember that you're bringing a freedom. And by freedom, we mean this is going to be a person who chooses what they want to believe in, how they want to relate. You will have an impact on them. And that's what Beauvoir says, that this is the most difficult idea of motherhood. And that's where, because and she talks about all mothers have this kind of fantasy that their child will be the hero. Somehow, and we have seen this, like every parent talks about their child as most unique, most brilliant, and that's some kind of a desire within. We can maybe psychoanalyze it, but she says that every mother has a dream or a fantasy that their child is a hero, but at the same time the fear that it's a monster.
Yes.
That physically, like the fear that women go through, that if, for example, if it has any kind of birth defect, or they grow up to become a psychopath. So all of those things, so they kind of oscillate between these two extremes. What people don't realize is that they are just a freedom. They're neither a hero nor a monster. They, of course, there can be defects, and again, like calling it a defect because of a scientific language, but some kind of abnormality. And once the freedom comes into this world, even that in that stage of nascent childhood when they have no concepts, they are a freedom. You can't force the child, like when you're breastfeeding, you can't force them to latch. It takes ages to teach them to latch, and the child responds very differently, So in that whole experience, you are dealing with a freedom, and you yourself are a free person, a person, human being who is so we do talk about mother's instinct, this and that, as if it is something growing naturally out of your body. It's not. You decide in that moment to listen to the call of the child. You little by little you learn, and you become more instinctive in that way. It becomes part of your habitual body. The same way you become instinctive in listening to the cues of your clients. You notice each and every kind of lift of the brow, anything in their face, because you are attentive to that. So in the same way, she becomes instinctive by paying attention, by making that her project in a way. And so that's where I think it's a good starting point to remember that there are two freedoms. And this is where she says the most difficult part of motherhood, from the point of view of the mother, first of all, to allow the other to be a free agent. In addition, and Beauvoir does criticize the traditional motherhood, because the mother, it's hard for her to accept that she devotes herself like a crazy person to that child. She becomes devoted. She listens to every demand of that child. She's paying attention to each and every need of his. So in return, the child doesn't see her as a freedom either. The child sees that as if it's kind of growing out of her body in a way. It's not a person who can do anything with her time, but she decides to give all her time to me, all her attention, all her energies to me. So the child does not see her as a freedom either. So this relationship is actually a really messed up relationship, because it does not allow the ambiguity of human relationships. Like for us, the whole thing about our relationship is that I know that if I say, Hora, can you meet me? You can say no. So that's the whole point. I ask you for help, you can say no. And I respect that. I might be hurt, but I do respect that.
And you expect it,
Exactly.
You expect from me as a person with freedom to choose.
Exactly.
So there is a choice there, and you see the choice every time that you face me. You see the choice with me,
and that's why I value the time you give me, because you could have easily given it to someone else. That's why I value your company, because you choose me over others. if I thought that Hora had nothing else going on in her life, and the time I go to her, she's all day waiting that Smima comes and that's the highlight of my day. I would feel that, I'm doing a kind of a, ihsan on you, a favor.
It's a favor. It's
so
a charity. Yes.
Yeah, I would not see you giving me time as valuable because I don't see you as a freedom.
I think this is very important, Seema. I'm just thinking about it. That
you're getting goosebumps.
Yes, you think that, oh my God, the child is taking the mother for granted, the service of the mother for granted. This means that the value, there is no value in that relationship. It's a must. It's a sustainable relationship in terms of because it's only sustaining that person.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the child doesn't see the value in that relationship, and the mother, the only thing that mother sees in that relationship, that the child is the extension of me. Again,
she
there is no
person.
So this is not a relationship at all, because the child is an extension of me, not a person.
Exactly.
So in that relationship, I think even you cannot call it a relationship because you don't see that person as a person.
Exactly.
There is no other here.
Exactly. And that's where, the mother, we are using the mother, but that can apply to both parents, but we are using the mother because we want to focus a little more on motherhood. Like we ourselves as mothers, like we found the moment our children started expressing their ideas really challenging, because you feel like this thing I brought into this world, he has his own ideas, his own personality. Now he's keeping secrets from me, and it's very difficult for a mother to accept the child having a life of their own. And like overbearing parents can often have that effect on their children, that they want every aspect of their life to be controlled on the grounds, I gave you my life. I gave you my youth, I gave you my body, I gave you my money, my career, everything. I ruined it for you so that you are in servitude to me because you are an extension of me. We are painting an extreme picture, but
it might feel extreme, but it's not. I think it's more. It's like that. What's your relationship with your arm? You don't allow your arm to decide for themselves to move toward any direction that it wants. I think that traditional parenthood is exactly like that.
And you see a future that you would like for them.
Exactly. So because the intentionality belongs to you as a person, not the hand.
Exactly. And like there's a, of course, you can be a doctor or an engineer or a doctor. Choice is yours. Like, oh my God, an artist? I can't even imagine. Like, we joke about that, but that's the whole idea, because I don't see you as a freedom. I'm not disturbed by the thought that, my child will be a destitute, but rather, I never saw you as a freedom. And then this, all of a sudden, these voices coming from you are unacceptable. And the child takes away all that nourishment from the mother, but he finds her stifling because you want freedom, you want to grow, you want your own world, which is totally normal to feel. However, accepting her as a free person, because I think the problem there is, again, like the relationship was never developed in that way. And if you accept the mother as a person, or as a freedom, you have to accept that I need to take some responsibility.
Exactly.
She cannot be there all the time for my needs. If she's neglectful, it's not like a moral fault. She's a person. People become so uncomfortable to know about their parents' sexual relationship. It's because you don't see the mother
as a person.
She's just my mom. And that's it. She's not a human being. They see them as heroes sometimes. I know, like, especially in Indian culture, when husband and wife fight, the husband cannot hear a single fault in his mother because my mom is perfect. She is this, she's a human being. She has her flaws, she has her imperfections, but the son cannot accept that my mom has any flaws. Sometimes daughters have that symptom too, about their dads quite often. But the idea is that you don't see them as a person full of flaws, full of desires, full of,
mischief, full of
problems.
dreams,
Yeah.
failures.
Yeah. And even when you say that, oh, she was a terrible mother, you just see them.
You just see them
as
their
a mother.
performance as the mother, not as
a human being. And you might have forgiven a lot of people
Mm.
with the similar kind of defects, but in the mother, those defects are unforgivable.
Yeah.
Because you don't see them as a freedom.
Yes.
And I think that's where, at the core of the issue, that's what happens. That the relationship is not properly, as you said, a relationship.
Yeah. It's not a relationship at all, because there is no other being described in this picture. The mother, the child is the extension of the mother, and the child again, the mother is the extension of the child. But it's an extension. You don't see an other at all.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I guess that's a very good point to explore more. What does it mean to be a person?
Yeah.
And when we are talking about the attachment styles and everything,
Yeah.
and when you're talking about a person as flawed, a person as fallible, a person as a subject with traumatic experience, with joy, desire, dreams, intentions, failures. This means that this person comes to a relationship with all of these things that we have mentioned.
Exactly.
And whatever relationship they try to build on with the world is affected and actually is painted by all of these things, as it's a complexity, it's a whole collective of things that shapes that relationship.
Yeah.
This is what we call attachment. So that collectivity of factors in a person that shapes and affects a relationship, forms the relationship in the first place. And mother-child relationship is one of those relationships that person builds, like the relationship that I have with my plants, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
That I have
That's
with
not
you.
the only thing I'm doing.
No, it's a relationship that I have with this table, with my computer, with my glasses, with my husband, with my children. So it's whatever relationship that you can even imagine that you build up with the world.
I think that's one of the most important thing that we quite often miss. And again, it's a limitation of when we are trying to focus on a certain thing, we just put all the focus on that.
Yeah.
It seems like that the person who is the primary caregiver in the attachment style discussion is somehow just the parent.
Yeah.
That's the sole purpose of their existence.
Yeah.
And, however, that person is in multiple different relationships with multiple different things. And, that child, that might be their priority, yet it's not everything. And they need to fit that child, that relationship within a milieu and within a complex network of other relationship. And that child has relationship that this is the primary caregiver, but there's other things happening too.
I think, Simba, it's very interesting. The moment that you were describing, I was thinking about look, any relationship that exists between a person and the world and the other, and the whole world plus the other, it's the outcome of a dynamic between other relationships.
Without a doubt.
So it's really interesting. We need to understand that, first of all, the analysis of attachment styles, something like attachment styles, is to reduce the person to that relationship per se. So one relationship is the point of focus, and then we try to describe the whole behaviors of that person out of that within that relationship. So it's a reductionist view reductionist view of the person in relationship. We don't see the network of relationship, and that relationship is just
messy.
Only one of them, and it's messy, and we cannot describe it that easily.
Exactly.
We need to understand that every interaction is a dynamic outcome of other interactions. So
you had a bad day at work, you had a bad day with your husband, you'll come and scream at your child.
Exactly. It's just how me trying to navigate my other relationships, and sometimes actually I'm not really active in that navigation. And normally we don't do.
Exactly.
I'm actually
just
cannot. Exactly. We are totally implicitly going through our experiences.
We're immersed in our everyday routine, and very few moments where we take a pause and reflect.
Exactly. So we don't have a reflective relationship normally in our everyday practice, in our mundane experiences. We don't have any reflective relationship with our experiences.
Exactly.
Therefore, you don't have any agency over who is handling this stream of consciousness. Where is it to handle the dynamic of these relationships?
Yeah.
So I guess what we are trying to do in this episode is trying to relieve and make the mother free from this reductionist view, and introduce the mother and the caregiver as a person.
Exactly. I mean, I was just like going back to so many ideas. For example, like I did a little work on pregnancy as well, and there are like the discussion about pregnancy is also really very interesting in Beauvoir, but other thinkers as well. And there was this author who I was reading, and she was talking about like when you go to, for example, medical professionals, as a mother, you see that their entire focus is on delivering a healthy baby. And she says that just reduces the entirety of pregnancy experience to delivering a healthy baby. And that's it. And she talks about that there's more going on. The relationship that you have with the fetus and the future of that child is more than delivering a healthy baby. But the whole idea, the way the medical sciences just reduce it to that. So like what we are trying to reflect here is in terms of like identifying that it is basically a freedom, a human being who has different various relationships with the world, with the events of the world, with the objects in the world, and with the people in the world, who is trying to bring a new freedom into the world. And in that situation, one thing that is quite interesting to remember here is that most of our relationship in the world, we have an interesting level of freedom, like in terms of whether we want to continue with this relationship or not. And that's where for example, like we hang out with people, but some friendships don't stick. You don't work, like even good friends fall apart because of draw apart because of some reasons. At work, even if you are in a bad work environment, you keep looking for other opportunities because you don't like the relationships. So sometimes we are stuck, but many times we have room to find out the distance from the relationship or not get into the relationship. I think what childhood has the issue or the challenge of not having that choice. And to some extent with motherhood, I mean, technically there's a choice, but you can't do that. I don't like this baby, so I'll get a different one. It's not like that.
It's a sticky relationship. Somehow you're bound to it.
Exactly. And so there's this lack of freedom in a way. So you're stuck together.
It feels like a lack of freedom, while again it is there that you're free in that relationship
to live.
So it's to not only to live, so much
how to live it,
how to manage it. It's I think it's all about the whole, when we are describing parenthood and motherhood in terms of relationship, we're trying to navigate the dynamic of that relationship. What is it? So what's going on in that relationship? What is the nature of it? This is how you navigate it. So you cannot do such a thing if you don't accept that there is a freedom in there. I mean, even you cannot analyze the relationship if you don't realize that the person who is shaped the relationship, who is initiating the relationship, have choices. Exactly. So it's just, I mean, it's a basic understanding of any relationship that there is a percentage of freedom is involved in that relationship. And this way, not only the child, before, when we talk about the stages that the child has child consciousness, and it's totally biologically and physically is reliant on the mother, the freedom again is a little bit of, you feel that is it a bit freedom here, we can't even imagine the freedom or not. It's not that the child is not free, the child doesn't realize that it's free. So the realization of the freedom is not being instituted, not it's been realized.
I mean, the freedom is the way they throw their arms, the way they scream when they are hungry. So like, they have a freedom, you know, the way a human being responds to the world, it's not 100% like it's biological, but there's something also conscious and something coming out. And as they start growing up, as they start getting language, concept, you start that they understand. Because as you know, medical sciences tell us that in the beginning, the child doesn't see themselves as separate from the world. So, you know, of course, but they still have this kind of, you know, the freedom that they feel in their body. That's there. And that as they grow older, it becomes more and more stabilized. Because without understanding that freedom, how do you understand that a child throws things at you, throws tantrums? You have ways of managing that tantrum. You negotiate, okay, if you give it to me, I'll give you a candy. So all of this shows that they are a freedom. It's untethered. It is unstructured.
It is unstructured.
Yet it is a freedom.
It is not framed yet. In order to the optimality.
Exactly.
It's about the
it hasn't found it
hasn't found the optimal point of receiving the world. And that's why they are different, constantly different. They try to...
They're experimenting.
Exactly, because they try to find the optimal.
Exactly. I mean, we have like seen that kids, like they throw things like to learn about the laws of nature. You know, how gravity works, how everything works, not in a very manipulative way, but rather they learn. Like they drop a thing. Even cats do it. They learn that, okay, if you drop it, it falls down. And doing it multiple times, they learn it. Similarly, they learn about relationships. They experiment. And that's where, you know, they are learning, but they are freedoms.
So, and it's really interesting. The child learns the mother's way, you know. The child become the knower of your ways. So it's very important. It's not even it's the laws of the nature. It's actually the laws of that person, you know, how I would grab the attention of that person. How would I communicate with that person? So it's all about navigating a relationship. You cannot navigate a relationship without a freedom.
And
that's it.
It does it. The baby and the child, they do it. But as they start growing older and they start getting concepts, I think at that stage, that sense of freedom is a little bit lost. They learn that about other people. They learn that, you know, other people have freedoms. They can say no to me. They have a life of their own. You know, as when you're younger, you're quite selfish. That's normal. That's normal way of being. Everything is about you. And little by little, you learn that not everything is about you. You know.
After 5, when you lose that egocentric.
And some learn sooner. Like if you're growing with multiple siblings, you learn sooner.
Because this means that more than this motherhood, you try to navigate. If you want to sustain life, you need to navigate multiple relationships. You know.
So it is. You are learning all of that in that complex environment, and as people start growing older, and again, not blaming anyone, but rather what happens is that we start seeing other people as freedoms. We start accepting and negotiating quite often, like, you know, kids play, and then you see that if I want to be the boss all the time, other kids don't play with me, so you learn that I'm not the boss. And you actually learn how to be a freedom amongst other freedoms.
Yeah.
And somehow, due to the way our society is structured and motherhood is structured, we never grow. Even like I talk to 50, 60-year-old people, and they talk
and they're
like
not free.
babies because they don't see their mother
They never
as a
realized,
freedom.
exactly, they never realized. And the moment, I guess we talk, do you remember that we talked about a gate, the mother as the gate to the world.
Yeah.
I guess if I want to build upon that metaphor again, if the mother and the relation to the mother is a gate to the world, if this gate is never open to me by the mom as a witness there standing by the door and allow me to explore the world as a freedom, I would never know what will happen, what is going on in the backyard or in the out of these doors, you know. So in that sense, really the attachment style is the style of navigating your freedom within the world.
Yeah.
And so if the mother couldn't really manage a relational field safe enough for me to explore and navigate my freedom, realize my freedom, again, it's all about this relationship, and it shows that this mother doesn't understand, or the mother as a person doesn't understand what to do with their own freedom.
Yeah.
How free they are in their relationship with the world, plus with the child.
Exactly. I think it's a very, like, again, it would change from case to case basis, culture to culture.
Exactly.
You know, how you are seen in every culture and how things work in different cultures. So that's, of course, you know, that definition would change. We, coming from our own cultures, we are working from a very, very different framework. But we have noticed certain patterns and certain things that are consistent throughout cultures, and that's basically the mother as this nurturing, giving thing. And you know, so it does, like, first of all, it does actually first cue that relationship between mother and child, because we don't see the mother as a freedom. But you're correct in saying that it might have an impact in terms of their overall relationship with the world to some extent as well. Because of other experiences, people learn to accept other people as freedom. However, because they have this kind of exploitative relationship with one person, that can have its impact on some aspect of their relationships. It might be with their partners, it might be with their subordinates, you know. So
I think if the moment that the child tries to build a relationship according to a caring relationship that they had with the parent, it tries to get the color, the shadows of that past caring experience, being cared for. I think the moment that comes the whole factor of caring into the experience, everything changes and it gets the shadowy color and color of the parenthood or parental relationship with the child. But I guess when we were talking about how the mother relates to their own experience of freedom, and I think it's more, first of all, it's a relational thing to the mother themselves and then the child.
Okay.
So you don't know how free you are
Yeah, I understand.
in that relationship.
Yeah.
And therefore, you don't know how to create another freedom. I mean, Beauvoir and all of the existential philosophers talks about the existence of two freedoms together. You cannot create a relationship, a free relationship with the other, or provide a free relationship with the other, unless you know that you're free.
Yeah. She talks about, like, one of the biggest issue about motherhood is that we expect a person who does not have a proper subjectivity to raise a person as a complete subject.
Exactly.
And because she doesn't, I mean, she's writing in 1949, she's talking about the traditional way girls are raised and the problematic way in which they relate to themselves and everything else. And she says that, what would happen is that because she's incomplete, she would try this child to complete her.
Yeah.
She would make that child her project. And in doing that, that's why she becomes devoted, and that's why she becomes this kind of, stifling mother, because she has nothing better to do with her life. So she divorces.
And actually, she herself reduces herself into a mother.
That role,
exactly.
That role. Yeah.
Although it's a socially impacted.
Exactly. It's not like she decides to do that, but she's raised in a way.
Exactly.
And
it is expected of her.
We feel part of that in our own experiences as well. Like, we are both women having a career. I don't know what was your experience, but a lot of time people think that the reason I don't have another child because my career caused me, this incomplete motherhood, because one child is incomplete somehow. So, the society also kind of shows it that your primary role is being a mother. If you're a woman, you have a womb, so that's the only purpose that's there.
So you are bound to your biology that you can create another person.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you become reduced to that biological factor of yours, the biological possibility.
Exactly.
You are reduced to the biological possibility of your body.
Exactly.
And in that reduction, you have lost your sense of freedom.
Exactly. And I'm not here talking about choosing between motherhood or career, this or that. None.
No.
You can be anything you want. You can be stay at home, whatever you want to do. The whole idea is that, how do you relate to yourself? Who am I? And what happens is that in motherhood, women often relate to themselves merely as the mother. And that is where they become this thing that provides nurturing to another person, but there's a cost attached. Now you can't have any freedom. I gave everything for you. Now you're bound to me. And that's where the whole thing becomes trouble, because this person, again, we are saying that with a lot of complexity, that this is not the conscious choice. Being raised in an environment like husband telling her, like, you're not taking care of the child properly, I go and work so that you can have this great life, and now that your only job is to look after the child, you're not doing it correctly. All of that happening, and all of that contributing to it. But ultimately, when this person, this mother, enters into the relationship with another freedom, she doesn't see herself as a freedom.
So she cannot provide freedom at all.
Exactly.
I think it's a mathematical, really, it's a mathematical formula.
Exactly.
Unless you don't realize your freedom, you cannot create any freedom.
Exactly.
It is in that realization of the freedom that you can choose, that you can either create freedom or not.
Exactly. And it is happening. The child will break free. Most of the cases, I mean, there might be remnants of your hold, but most childs break free. And they claim their freedom. And so you end up with bitterness, you end up with this idea that they are thankless. They do not acknowledge the debt and the generosity I've shown them, and that's where it becomes now a sort of a damaged, bitter relationship.
And it's really interesting, Simone, when you said generosity, and then I put a question mark. Even if you're not free, then there is no generosity at all.
We did discuss that in our previous episode. That
it is not generosity. If you're not free, if you didn't have any choice other than this caring, then what is generosity? What is generosity all about? Generosity is a moral choice.
And I choose to be generous. I could choose not to be.
Exactly. And if I don't realize that I am free and that child is free, there is no even generosity involved.
Exactly. And that's where, it comes back to this idea of, of course, this freedom is going to be very different. This person is going to be very different based on their environment and how they are raised, who they are. Like, that's why I said, like, when you throw into that picture the complexity of someone like an immigrant, and again, immigrant come in all different varieties. So someone who is running away from a bad environment, and they bring their children into this world, let's say Australia. Now, when you think about such a person, they not only feel that I have, given up my body, my career, everything for you. I left my family so that you can have a better future here. They bring, and we have seen this in our community so
I
much.
have slaughtered other relationships.
I left my mother, I left my sisters, I left my brother, I left my home, I left my home world for you. I came to this alien world, and like immigrant parents say this so often. We came here to have
for our children,
so they can have and I don't doubt that. Now, what do they want? I want you to have a future here that I designed.
I would exactly. I intended for you.
You can't choose a wife for yourself or a husband for yourself. You can't choose a career for yourself. You
Field
can't
of studies, whether you want to study or not at all.
Exactly. Whether you listen to music or not, or whatever your cultural values are. So here we see that what happens is that we come here thinking that we want to give you a future, but it's not a future if it's not free.
And I think we are misperceived the whole idea of, as an immigrant parent, I'm saying myself, if I feel that there is an obligation in whatever is I am given to the child, I misunderstood the whole idea of possibility with the future. So future is all about possibilities.
Exactly.
I'm giving only a possibility to my child.
Exactly.
And in that sense, the life was a possibility from the beginning. I just gave a possibility of being alive and experience the world to that child. Nothing more. I cannot even imagine that I can give anything other than possibility to a child.
Exactly.
To anyone. I am, as a person, I am giving possibilities of relationship with the people, with the other.
And in existential terms, they say that you only create a situation for the other.
Exactly.
You do nothing.
Exactly. It's the world is a situation for me, and I am in response creating a situation. I'm getting back this possibility of situation.
What the other does with that situation is not in my control.
It's on their own. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not in my control, no matter how hard I try, and that realization is actually acceptance of your freedom.
Exactly.
And the freedom of the other. And that's all that relationship is about. I mean, easier said than done. I struggle with every day.
It's Serena, it's about every practice, every decision making that we have in our everyday life. I think we're only trying to make it conscious enough. Exactly. Nothing will change. Nothing will change in terms of, no, you all of a sudden you're going to get a magic wand and you can change stuff. It's not about that. It's about the realization and what do we want to do with that realization.
I mean, when I think of it, like for example, if I want to think about it for myself, like the kind of childhood I had, the issues I had with my mother, and now having this realization, understanding her with that, and the kind of experiences I had, my sisters, my brother, we all had different experiences. What to do with that if I put it in that perspective? And for me, the most important thing is to understand, like, okay, I got that perspective, I understand. It's not about excusing what happened. It's not at all. It's just understanding her in more complexity. And then thinking about, okay, what do I want things to change in future? And if they do, we need to change. I need to see her as a free person.
Exactly.
And through my behavior, I want her to learn that I'm free too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be direct confrontation. Sometimes it could be through multiple small events, building that idea, confronting it little by little. It would vary from person to person. But the point here is neither excusing nor, accusing or condoning, none of that. It's about getting that insight and learning it within, and then just it's not about the narrative that this happened because of these reasons. you can trace all the reasons and then still blame someone. It's more about identifying that they were a freedom who had this very skewed understanding of
what
how
to do with my freedom.
Exactly. And especially, you can maybe add more complexity here. Female child, second child, all of those things can keep just contributing, making things more and more complex. And, so having that realization gives me the insight in terms of sometimes even healing.
Yeah. I think the whole realization is understanding that wasn't a caregiver. That mother was a person as well, trying to realize and make a relationship with her own freedom. And then I became another factor in that project, one of the factors that related to her freedom. And
I was a situation for her.
Exactly, I was a situation, and she needed to navigate this situation, and she did it with her optimal way.
Exactly.
It isn't. I think one of the most important thing, and I'm thankful for phenomenology, is that we always try to find an optimal.
This is a human, go back to Spinoza.
It's about, we don't do anything other than that. So even if I am failing, I have deficiency, acknowledge that deficiency was my optimal in that moment.
Exactly.
There was a moment that deficiency, that you call it deficiency now, it was an optimal
in
once.
That situation.
Exactly. It was an optimal once.
Exactly.
So whatever my mom was doing to me was an optimal way of navigating me as the situation and a possibility of having a freedom. In that sense, you become. It seems that this picture gives the agency back to me to what to do with that, and then and I guess the whole, when I was listening to you, I was thinking about, other than recognizing that relationship, that freedom in that relationship, a person as a free agent, I will not even create any moral relationship with anyone else, plus my mom. Morality is all about what am I going to do with the freedom. First of all, am I recognizing the freedom?
Exactly.
And then how would I deal with that freedom?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all about navigating two freedom together.
Exactly.
Whether I allow the other be free, and then how I would navigate my freedom in the presence of the freedom of the other.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is all about again, throwing another existential term, ambiguity.
Exactly.
Accepting the ambiguity of existence, that when there are freedoms in close proximity to each other and working together, there are many different possibilities of outcome. You risk being hurt.
Exactly.
You risk being supported. You risk being rejected. So when I form a bond with you, I risk getting hurt by you, betrayed by you, but at the same time fulfilled and nourished by you, nurtured by you.
Yeah.
So there are all these possibilities, and opening up and accepting you as a freedom is accepting both the good and the bad possibility.
Yes.
And sometimes getting bad, but being open to, okay, I will give you another chance, and working with that freedom. And always keeping in mind that based on past, I don't expect Hora to act this way. At the same time, being ready that you're a freedom.
That's it. I think this is one of the things that I am always telling to the partners that I work with, that I guess we need to understand the other is in a contract with me. And that other has the freedom to make to just come out of the contract any moment,
any time,
at any.
I mean, even here, I can just stand up and leave.
So
we decided to sit together and record.
Exactly. It's just, and saying that, I think the moment that you understand the extremity of the freedom,
it's nauseating.
It is, but at the same time, how conscious we become to what we make.
And you're thankful.
Exactly.
When
exactly
what I give to you, what I hold back, then everything, I think what happens is that when we find things lacking, we attack people. We see them as freedom. When their status quo, everything is being met, we don't acknowledge it as freedom. And I think that's what happens with the mother. That we acknowledge everything she did wrong.
Was the moment of practicing freedom.
Yes, because we know that she was not there when I needed her, or she was criticizing me, she was doing this. However, the things that she did right, we feel like that was natural. That's what a mother should do, and like normal, like something oozing out of her body. And that's not accepting the other as a freedom.
Exactly.
That's freedom is both good and bad. Everything that is coming out of that person is a free choice.
Exactly.
And they made conscious, unconscious, subconscious decisions to stick with that, and that's it. I accept that complexity, I accept that ambiguity.
That's it.
And it is something that is growing in a world full of, we have discussed the world in it is so complex. The way the weather is there, the way your stomach is feeling today, the way the politics is working, everything has an impact on you. And everything is a situation for you, and you respond in that situation. So you are responding to it, you are acting or choosing within that situation, but it is important to acknowledge that the situation is there. And so acknowledging the freedom of motherhood and the relationship of mother-child relationship in terms of as an ambiguous free relationship is the starting point that we are both freedom. Even as a baby, I was a freedom. I was not a responsible freedom. So that's the difference between adulthood and childhood. Child consciousness is very rudimentary. It lacks the structure of with freedom comes responsibility. And as an adult, there's some sense of that. However, there was still this element of relationality. You are responding to two free beings, and that's where there are multiple outcomes possible, and this outcome came out in our relationship. So I think that's a very important starting point.
Selma, thank you.
I think that's enough for one day.
I think it was a very necessary discussion that we needed actually to unpack and unfold here, and because this is something that comes in our discussions constantly. Every now and then we turn back to the whole idea of relationship with the mother and child, and especially in therapy room, this is something that comes up constantly. But we never had a chance to make it make it as a fundamental situation that in therapy room unfolds every time. And as a phenomenologist, we are actually working that ground on that ground. So that was a necessary discussion to do. And thank you so much for
thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you and hear hopefully from you in our next episodes.